All right, welcome in everyone to our 2025 Housing Internship Program overview for host sites. My name is Spencer Giese. I'm an Educational Program Manager at Akuai. I also have the esteemed pleasure of overseeing and working with the Housing Internship Program. I've got an outstanding committee helping us this year that we'll meet some of those friendly, familiar faces in just a moment. A few things about our session today. I want you all to know that it's recorded, so if you have other folks on your host team that couldn't make it, we'll make sure that we post the recording both on our YouTube channel for Kauai and on the internship portal. This is really your chance to learn more about the process, ask questions you may have, and just get a good grasp on what 2025 in the program looks like. So we're so glad that you're joining us today. Um, I am so pleased to be joined by a few folks from our Housing Internship Program Committee, and I'm going to pass it over to our chair, Aspen, to say hello.
Hi, everyone. My name is Aspen Shackelford. I'm the Housing Internship Program Chair, and then I also work at University of Maryland for my full-time role. So I'm super excited to be here with you all today and to share some info about the program with you all. And I'll pass it to Ryan.
Hello, everyone. My name is Ryan Patrick Telemontes. I use he, him, his pronouns. I am a Housing Internship Program Committee member. I work at the University of Texas at Austin, and I also have the privilege of supervising our interns here at the University of Texas.
Woo! So we've got some great internship program experience on the call as well as some host experience. So looking forward to it. So our format for today, we're going to go through about four big topics when it comes to the hosting of interns through the Housing Internship Program. We'll have some time for questions. In the meantime, if you could just help connect with one another via the chat, share who you are and where you're joining from, and we'd love to be able to interact with you in the chat and on the session. In the meantime, I'll monitor the chat, make sure everything is great there, answer questions that come up. In the meantime, I'll pass it over to Aspen and Ryan.
Hello. So the first thing that we're going to talk about is what is a Kuhuai. And if we could go to the next slide. The Kuhuai Association of College and University Housing Officers International. Obviously, you all are familiar, hopefully, with the Kuhuai. If you aren't, don't know how you got to this webinar without having some form of knowledge, but it is home for more than 17,000 professionals representing 1.2 million on-campus students and growing, obviously, as our universities continue to grow. It is the housing operations, and a lot of us from housing are participatory in the Kuhuai network in some way, shape, or form. And whether that's going to, your regional level, I know for me, I love a good little SWACUHO and being able to participate in that form. So looking at what the Kuhuai Housing Internship Program, for some of you all, this might be your first time having the internship program. This might be your first time hearing about it. So we wanted to make sure it was really clear for it. The Kauai Housing Intern Program connects students that are interested in pursuing a career in campus housing and student affairs, really opens it up to a wide variety of different opportunities. So it could be as small of a school or as large of a school, doesn't really matter, as well as the opportunities on campus, really. So obviously seeing some in my area where it is conference services, looking at that particular perspective. We also have some that are from not universities, but from programs. I know RoomPact has an internship program that they like to run. So it really is a wide range of institutions that are able to participate. We want to really make sure that these variety of roles within student affairs are covered. And so we oftentimes think that students are going to look for one thing and they look for something else. They're looking for a wide range of opportunities. And so if you're thinking already like, I wonder if mine fits within this realm, it does. And this area in this internship program, we're constantly trying to grow. But for the requirements of it, to the meat of it, it must be enrolled students, undergrad or graduate level, or recent graduates. They're all able to participate. And so you will see individuals from that already do meet those requirements for it. So you don't have to worry about some other person applying for it. You will know that these individuals are coming with these qualifications. And if we could go to the next slide. Cool. So for past intern experience, we have some of the things that we have heard from them. And you are all are more than welcome to read it. But for us, oh, I'm so sorry. Maybe my internet's being a little slow and it skipped forward. But you all can read from them. But what I will say is that as a host, previous host, it's really great to start collecting these past experiences that you can. I really highlight them in the interview process, and I make sure that individuals know when you come to the University of Texas at Austin, this is the experience that you are going to get. And this is going to be what you are going to be able to experience while you're here. The big thing for us is going to be that you are really thoughtful of it. The committee will come and collect some experiences and things that your interns are saying, but really thinking about what experience you want them to have. And as a host, I make sure that I think, what do I want my interns to say when they leave the program? And really being thoughtful about that.
Thanks, Ryan. I'll tell you all a little bit about the program itself and the timeline of everything. So December 4th was our official kickoff day, which is super exciting. We already have quite a few candidates who have created profiles and several positions that have been posted, which is very, very nice, especially given that we're only 2 weeks into this thing. But given that the program has kicked off, that does mean that you all as hosts can start posting your positions. It's not visible to candidates yet. They cannot see anything that you're posting, so you can go in and edit things. You have time, but just know that there is a lot of activity going on. And so if you have not logged into the portal yet, definitely go in there, play around, just get a feel for what things are like, because you will be spending a lot of time in there over the next few weeks. So starting January 6th and through January 26th, that's kind of like a review period. Candidates can go in and they can see what you all have posted as positions at your host institutions. They can then start applying. You all are able to see the candidate profiles at this time, but no one is communicating with anyone. So that's why it's really just a review and research period to just kind of see kind of what the candidate pool is looking like for you all, and for candidates to see what are the opportunities that are available to them. During this time frame, you all can still edit your posts, and you can post new postings as well. This entire process kind of works on a rolling basis. So while we are bound to this timeline, if you're not getting a candidate by the dates that we give you, that's okay. You can still get candidates after the main interview period and the main offer day and things like that. So no worries, no stressing. But just know that January 6th is really that optimal day that you want to have your position posted so that candidates can see it. Spencer, next slide, please. Thank you. So starting January 27th at 1 p.m. Eastern time, that is when you all can see who applied to your positions. And so, like I said, this is a continual process. You may continue to get applicants, but starting this date, you can really get a view of how many applications you're receiving, what the candidate pool is looking like. And then you can start reaching out to candidates to schedule interviews. And so you're also welcome to recruit candidates. So that's kind of the research that you all were doing when you were looking at candidate profiles. You're more than welcome to reach out to a candidate that may not have applied that you thought had a really strong profile. But definitely this is where the process really starts to get moving. Next slide, please. And then interviews begin starting February 3rd. So there is a little bit of a buffer between when interviews can start to be scheduled and when they can actually begin. We want to give people some time to prepare. And so that is when you all will conduct your interviews. So we will have more future webinars about kind of just some considerations and things to think about if you are interviewing candidates during this time, and as well as maybe who else you might want to include from your institution on some of these interviews, if they're going to be working with your future interns. And so at this time, candidates may still be applying, but no offers can be made until March 3rd at 1 p.m. Eastern time. And candidates do have 24 hours to make a decision. We want to make sure that they're being as clear with you as possible and that you're getting information as soon as possible, because if you need to continue with interviews or keep your application process still open, we want to make sure that you are able to do that in a timely manner.
One thing I'd add about hosting and interviews and seeing candidates is that every member of your university's host team that will be in the process needs to see candidates. Each of them needs to go through the process of adding the host token to the shopping cart in the Akuoi site and becoming a host in the system. So we don't want folks like passing around the same password or having a universal email. Once that person is both tied to your university and does that process, they'll be able to see the candidates for your position as well. And please note that we do not charge our hosts to post in the internship program. It is an Akuoi member benefit. So everyone who's hosting interns, those campuses are institutional members of Akuoi, and that's why they're allowed to do so. And if you have any problems in terms of signing up or getting acclimated to that, we always say click on that purple chat box. So far, on all the web pages so far, I've not run into anyone whose membership has expired, and that's an issue. But just please know that you do need to be an active member of Akuoi to be able to host an intern. And now back to Aspen.
Spencer, can you hit the next slide? Thank you. So I just mentioned the portal, Spencer just mentioned the portal, but it is super, super important that you all get access to the housing internship portal, because that is where all of this is taking place. You will be in that system quite a bit over the next few weeks. And so just as a reminder, candidate profiles will be in there. Your positions and profile as a host institution will be in there. You can search for things, candidates, positions, things like that. It's also where you're going to set up interviews. And so you'll be able to schedule those in the portal itself. Candidates will be able to, you'll be able to send offers in there. So candidates will receive their offer through the portal. So it's really the place that you will do all of your prep work ahead of your intern accepting, and then you starting communication that is university specific. I'm going to pass it back to Ryan.
The next two things we're going to talk about are host considerations and things that you all need as hosts. Yeah. For host consideration, make sure that you are creative with your posts as much as you can. There are some sample position descriptions that are available on the website that you're able to see. And like Spencer had already talked about, there is no charge to post positions, but be creative with it. I think as a former intern, the ones that attracted me the most were the ones that provided as much detail as possible. And so we know, like, when we're putting
I think Ryan's internet cut out.
Sorry, I think I'm back. Oop.
Oh, lovely.
So sorry. Aspen, can you take it from here? So sorry. It's still not reading right.
No worries. So as Ryan was saying, you want to make sure you're being creative with your position description. This is really the time that you have to sell your institution to candidates that are coming from all over. And so they might not know a lot about your institution until they're getting access to these positions and reading what they're all about and seeing what you have to offer. So you really want to make sure you're selling yourself, but also selling the experience. You want the candidates to know what they can expect by coming to your institution for the summer. And so we have several sample position descriptions available on the website. And so you all can take a look at that. And then, as Spencer mentioned, if you all ever have questions, you're more than welcome to use the purple chat box as you are creating and posting your positions. We also want to make sure that you all feel comfortable welcoming your candidate to your institution and tailoring the experience to them. So whether they're an undergraduate student, a graduate student, or maybe someone who has recently graduated from a program, we want to make sure that they are getting the experiences that you are actually able to offer. And then also we want to make sure that they're getting experiences that they're communicating to you. And so if there's a way that you're able to tailor that experience to their goals and to the types of learning opportunities they want to engage in, that's also a really unique opportunity about this program. And so we encourage you to consider that as well. We do require all host sites to provide their interns at minimum with room and board for free during the duration of their internship. After that, compensation packages really do vary significantly from institution to institution. We recognize that funding looks different at every institution. Meal plans might look different. And so parking, things like that. And so we encourage you again to look at those samples to see the wide array of what those compensation packages look like. And we encourage you to talk to your departments and make sure that you have room and board especially secured, and so that your interns know what they're getting ahead of time.
And I will also say, if I can jump in a little
Absolutely.
bit on that, like as a host site, I think it's really important that you're discussing with HR where and if you are able to change anything. So if you offer someone and they want to counter with you, do you have that ability to counter? Because for some of us, our HR is like, there is no such thing as a counter. We offer what we offer and you've got to deal. But for others, you may be able to counter in different ways and be really thoughtful about like what you realistically are able to provide and making sure that you're clear with them about what that compensation package looks like. And if someone is asking for something, explain sometimes why you may not be able to offer it. For us, like at the University of Texas, like we've had several candidates that have asked for parking to be provided, and I have to explain to them that there is an SOP that doesn't allow any employees parking to be offered. And so making sure that's clear, it's not like I don't want to provide parking. I'd love to provide parking. I'd love to provide parking for myself. But you know, like those are things that we have to take into consideration and helping them because often, especially for the undergraduate level, they aren't sure what this looks like. This is potentially their first time going for a really big internship program. And so it could be they're nervous and they just want to talk it out. And so being really thoughtful about that. And then the last point on here is that hosts may continue to reach out for candidates that apply for any positions after the deadline. The interviews and offers will be ongoing until all of your positions have been filled. If you decide, like I know last year, we had reached a point where we had finalized our, we felt comfortable. It wasn't exactly the number we wanted, but we felt comfortable with the interns that we did. I reached out to Spencer, let him know that I was going to go ahead and close our position. But Spencer does a really good job of a couple of days after the offer day out and confirm with you, Ryan, are you still interested? You know, you have some positions that are still open, and he'll start sending them to people so that we can ensure that all of the hosts are able to get what they can from the interns, and then making sure equally important is that the interns are getting a host site for their internship.
And before we go into question and answer, just a few ethical considerations as well. So you all as host supervisors, we want to make sure that you all are role modeling integrity for our candidates. And so a big part of that is, you know, following the program timeline, not reaching out to candidates ahead of the time period you're allowed to do that and things like that. And so we really want to serve as good role models for the candidates so that we're all starting on a good foot. It's also crucial that we are ensuring fair hiring practices. And so we definitely have our candidate pool, even so far, and we're only a few days in. We have a wide array of experiences and backgrounds that they're bringing to this process. And so taking time to acknowledge your own biases and making sure that you are abiding by ethical hiring practices. And so if you have candidates when you're reviewing candidate profiles that you know are strong, um, still giving all candidates a chance because you never know how the interview process itself could go. Someone could really wow you. So making sure that it is fair throughout and ethical and equitable throughout the entire process. Also, again, making sure that you are sticking to the program timeline is super important, and giving candidates a minimum of 24 hours once you make an offer. We want to make sure that they have some time to think about it, and we want to make sure that that is a consistent time frame across all candidates who are receiving offers on that day. And I think with that, we are ready to take questions in the chat, or if people want to unmute, that is also okay.
Oh, hey, Rooster.
Was that a question?
Did have a question come over on chat to me regarding interviews. How long are they typically? I would say most intern interviews, certainly for the first round, are maybe a half hour. Some schools go through one hour process for every one of their candidates they're interviewing. Others go half hour and then have a second wave. It's really that's where you have kind of the autonomy in this system. Everyone, it's a little different. There's a scheduling system uh, in the platform. So when you're in there, when we get closer to interviews, you'll be able to see a calendar where you'll be able to click in and you'll drag open individual interview time slots. You won't drag open a whole block and say, I'm open 8 to 5. That would make someone think that you have a 9 hour interview in store for them, which no one wants that. So you would want to open up individual time slots, whether that be half hour, 45 minutes, an hour. And then the candidates who are interviewing will be able to go and click in there and select one that works for their schedule. We will have a webinar for hosts before interview starts to give some tips there. So please don't be nervous. More information and support to come.
I have a quick question.
Sure.
I put it in the basket. I purchased it, $0,
Yeah.
whatever. And I'm just trying to figure out where the portal is. I can't find it.
Oh
Is
no.
there a
Well,
way you guys can show us on this? I thought this was going to be like a little bit of how to post and everything. So, I've gone into the internship. I get my information's up there, but I don't know how to get into the actual thing.
sure.
I'm
You know what?
sorry.
You
This
bring
question.
up a great point. So what I'm going to do in a moment, I will pull up the system so we can take a look at that internally while we answer any other questions that come up while I get that set up. Thanks for
Yeah,
this
if you
great
could just
suggestion.
show me where we click everywhere and I'll be good to go.
Yeah.
There's like a secret little surprise login button that sometimes that what got me. I was like, I'm on this committee and I can't figure this out. And then all of a sudden I was like, I wonder what this login button does. Because you
So
think you're on like an info. Hmm.
let's check a few things here. So, and I'm going to have a lot more access than y'all. Please don't be upset. So he are you able to get to this page after you've logged in? You've
Um, Let me check it. I don't know.
I'm going to do the logout game. So here's when you go to internship.akuo-i.org, you end up here, you see a bunch of information links, and you've got a login button up here in the top right corner. We're going to
Okay.
log in there. That's going to ask me for my Akuo-i credentials. Thank God I didn't show my password to the world. Um, and then now, of course, I have admin access. So you won't have all these tabs. You'll have your internship, and you would end up clicking uh, my internship once you've already posted. If you haven't posted yet, you'll need to post. And then you'll be able to see Berkeley, you're going to get a nice shout out because you get to see. Um, we'll just take a look here. So you'll have a menu that expands over time where you'll be able to see where all your applications are. You'll be able to have a recruitment team. You'll see where you make offers in the system, where you can message folks in the system. This little envelope icon will be where your messages are, where you receive them, where you can send them out from. Um, and then you'll also have this button that's publish or unpublish. Right now, Berkeley's position is published in the system. If you felt like you were still in the editing phase, you could hit unpublish, or you're going to change something, you could hit unpublish. And then as candidates go in to look at your postings in January, this is what they'll see initially is they'll see your position highlights. So that the position highlight is really your sales pitch on, yes, this is why you want to check this out, your position type, and that would cause someone to want to click on the position and see all the details. Okay, here's what it is. Here's what the school's like, how many openings there are. It's a very important document, the PDF that basically is the kind of university document of what it's going to be, the preferred dates of internship. Uh, we really emphasize this when we have our candidate webinar about, hey, you've got to make sure the dates are working with your life, because most internship sites want you there till the end date. Certainly that can be a conversation, and then our candidates will then scroll down some more. They'll see what the benefits are. Here you're receiving a place to stay in Boston. You're receiving a stipend of $13,000. There's no travel assistance, so some schools are able to offer travel assistance, like, hey, we'll cover a $500 flight. Hey, we won't cover anything. Um, and then there's a place to describe the meal plan and the other benefits. Here, they've got gym access, Wi-Fi, a meal plan. So that, and then it lists who's going to be the contact for the role, just so that information is out there. So that's what it's going to look like for a candidate when they look at your position. Was that helpful? Okay, that I like head nods. That's wonderful. Um, Things you're going to see later on in the process. This is a tidbit that we'll share more as we get closer to interviews and all that. This nice little download button. This is where you can export your applications into a document. I believe it drops into an Excel spreadsheet. Just a helpful sorting tool that you can have on your end. I get questions every year. Hey, can I download the entire pool of candidates? Absolutely not. Like that would be, first of all, your computer would break, and secondly, that's just way too much private information to send. If someone has not said, "Hey, I'm interested in your school," um, so just know that. And then again, you've got the people icon. That's where you can add your team with other folks in your program that have logged into the process. So Kelly, I really appreciate you waving a flag and saying, "Hey, can we see what this website looks like?" Because here it is, and I need to remember I look at it all the time, and you all might be seeing it for the very first time. So happy to help. Um, yeah. And with that, I'll open it up to other questions or pass it back.
There was a question in the chat about time off, and how much time off sites are allowed to grant their interns. I saw there was a response in the chat, which was wonderful. And I completely second that. And also, I think making sure that you are working with your HR team as well, because these interns will be employees at your institution. So if there are rules and regulations that your HR team requires you to abide by, I'd say work with that. But also, if you're able to make accommodations, then you can speak with the intern specifically and see how you're able to accommodate those things.
I think the one we hear the most often is like, I've got a wedding to go to. We hear that one all the time in the summer, and um, being flexible as humans, but also helping teacher interns what commitment is and finding that balance. I did have a question come in as kind of we were scrolling through a posting, and yes, Berkeley, that is an amazing posting. I might go work there this summer because wow, that's great. I appreciate that internship stipend. In crunching the data, currently our average stipend is between $4,000 and $5,000 for the summer on average. So that means there's many that are above that. There's some that are below that. Some have a higher stipend and less accommodations offered. Some have nicer accommodations, but maybe less stipend. You've got to find that right size for you. We've had schools in the past say, "Hey, we're going to house you but not pay you anything," and they are unable to fill those internship spots. Shocker. It's a very competitive marketplace. And while Berkeley's great, I will always give a shout out to Stanford because their internship stipend is incredibly incredibly generous. And I may go work there in the summer and say a kuai. I'll be back in August. See you later. That's a joke. They wouldn't let that happen. Stanford wouldn't hire me. No. Also, I think I had another question that came in kind of in terms of candidate numbers and post-COVID, and our program pre-2020, we were flying high. We had tons and tons of candidates, and as we've seen in the field, we have less folks that are going to grad schools than previously. But we've been happy to see that our internship numbers the last 3 years have increased every year. We were in the 420s range last year in terms of how many interns were out there looking for positions. Um, while it continues to be a candidate market in terms of, yes, there are potentially more openings than there are candidates. We also know that there's some schools that will hire an intern that's living on their campus right now. And um, so it continues to be a place where we're able to place I mean, hundreds of interns onto college campuses through the program. We also are seeking to pull in more undergraduate students who are interested in this for two reasons. One, build the field for the future, and two, uh, typically our undergraduate students can stay later in the summer than our graduate students who may have to get back as early as mid-July to start their professional staff training at a semester-based institution. So there's pros and cons, but I know like I also work with a group of undergraduate students through our STARS College um, higher ed interest program, and they are all being given a great deal of information about the internship program and helping them get into it. Um, so just know we're going to continue building the numbers of our internship candidates. They are on the uptick, and we're hopefully seeing our workforce continue to grow and rebound post-COVID. But we face that in the internship program, just like many of you probably have in terms of staffing full-time folks. How many hosts have posted so far? That's a great question. Oh, Aspen, I told you this number yesterday.
I have it.
You have it. Okay,
Yeah,
great.
it's 45 positions, which some positions have multiple openings. So there were 206 openings as of yesterday.
And we were just about to cross the 100 intern profile mark this morning. And let's be honest, a lot of our folks that I've heard from, winter break is when they're planning on building their profile, getting done with their semester, thinking about what the internship program looks like. Uh, Additionally, we have a lot of folks that late February, early March hits, and they've heard from someone else or some message board or somewhere like, oh my gosh, internship, I should do that. And we have this like second wave of folks joining the program where we're trying to onboard them really quickly to be like, okay, build a profile and go look for openings. And that just know that all the prospects that you see in January, that pool will grow as we move further into spring. We're trying to be as proactive as we can on our end to get the word out and get folks interested in joining the internship program, but it just is. People hear about it and hop in late. That's also why I do a second wave push where I do reach out to all the candidates who have not received and accepted offers. And I reach out to all the hosts that still have opportunities and say, hey, who's still actually looking, and try to match make a little bit on the second wave. Because ultimately, what I want for y'all is to have interns for your positions, and what I want for the intern candidates is that they're getting a great experience somewhere. My last soapbox item is going to be supervision of the interns. Um, it's great to have an intern. It's great to get someone to come to your campus, but really, I cannot stress enough the need for consistent mentorship and supervision for these folks. This is truly the future of the profession. If you treat them as a number or a cog in the wheel, that's not necessarily going to be sustaining to their career or interest in the field as much as building them up, helping them have a variety of experiences on your campus. Yes, doing work, fulfilling the internship, but also seeing other offices, meeting other people, maybe connecting with interns at other schools in the area. So be thoughtful of what supervision experience is out there. I know our host committee, our host support committee with the internship program will be sharing with hosts some resources in terms of how to mentor and support and supervise intern candidates to the best of your ability. And many of you are already experts at this. Others, you may want some helpful tips, and we'll provide that. And that's my soapbox.
If I could add a little bit to your soapbox,
Sure.
Spencer, I do think that like be thoughtful about who is the supervisor and if that supervisor makes sense. I know when I came to the University of Texas at Austin, it lived within one area, and when I came back as a full-time professional, it slowly moved back to where it was and where it lives, right? If your interns are doing mostly conference work, make sure that the conference team is involved with it, right? And so, like, originally it was the housing, or it was we changed titles, but it's the residential experience team that didn't, during the summer may not have as much responsibilities, but the conference manager at the time was telling all the interns what to do, but wasn't actually our supervisor. And it just created this like really weird mentality where we didn't know who we needed to go to. Luckily, the two supervisors had a really good relationship with us, and we're able to be like, you know what, actually go to them. And then the next year we focused and shifted it so that it made more sense. Think about who they're interacting with on a day-to-day basis. Who are they going to be in meetings with, and making sure that that person is set up for success. And then even when you're doing the interview process, make sure that that individual, if they can be, is present. Because I think we hear that often a lot is our interns want to meet who is going to be meeting with them. They don't want to meet, some person who's in one office that they'll meet with, 3 times. They want to meet with the person that they're going to interact with on a day-to-day basis. That's my soapbox. So sorry.
Well, on behalf of the Housing Internship Program Committee and our help today with Ryan and Aspen, we're so glad that you could attend. What I'm going to do are two things. I'm going to pause the recording in a moment so folks can stay on and ask any questions that may not have been answered. And please know that if you're on any ACUI website for internship or something else, there's a purple chat box in the lower right-hand corner. Please click on it. Chat with a real human. It's not AI. It's a real ACUI staff member that'll help you, whether it be something internship program related or anything else to do with ACUI. So thank you so much for hopping on. We'll have additional webinars in the future for hosts of the internship program, including interview preparation and navigating offer day. And we are here to support you throughout the process. So without further ado, thank you all so much and have a great rest of your day.